Hi everybody, Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well, my friends. I genuinely believe and hope you are well. I don't believe you are. I hope you are. If you're new around here, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, and give it one of those bloody good subscribes. Why don't you? It's Friday. Happy Friday. Another week has gone. Well done. Congratulations. A whole week without West Ham playing, eh? Wow. How have we survived? Quite well. Quite well. But obviously got the World Cup to keep us going, haven't we? And all that stuff. As always, we present you the Hammers headlines in association with the KUMB.com. Boys, we keep the news going. 3 stories to report, 3 transfer rumours. Kind of 1 in, no, 2 in, 1 out type thing. But we'll go through them. Let's start with this first one. Now, obviously, there's a lot of talk about us and going for Ben Brenton Diaz, the Blackburn striker. But there seems to be another championship striker on the horizon we are potentially looking at, particularly in competition with several other Premier League clubs. West Ham are among a host of Premier League sides looking to make a January move for Coventry City striker Viktor Giokeres. Victor Giokeres. I've definitely butchered it. We'll call him Victor. According to the Football League World website, Everton, Crystal Palace, Southampton, and West Ham among the other clubs looking to make a move for the 24-year-old Swedish striker. It's understood, according to the article yesterday, that Coventry are looking to offer Victor a longer-term deal at the start of 2023, in terms of January 2023, to fend off any Premier League interest. His current deal at the Championship club expires in the summer of 2024, and it's understood Coventry wish to offer him a substantial pay rise if he does commit his future to the club. Victor is probably the most in-demand striker in the Championship at the moment. The Swedish international has already notched 9 goals so far this season. Furthermore, at 24, he still has plenty of time to develop into a Premier League standard player. Whether West Ham need... Yeah, we do need another striker. To be honest. But he's so far, since the start of the 21-22 Championship campaign, scored 26 goals. No player in the second tier has scored more than the 9 goals that Victor scored this term, and his eye-catching form is attracting, as I said, Premier League attention. Coventry might... they can't agree a deal, might take a risk on his long-term future at the club and not sell him in January or maybe even next summer, because, in recent months their form has taken a turn for the better, and they're just 2 points off the playoffs now, with 2 games in hand over the teams above them, so could, well be in the playoff hunt and potentially Premier League promotion, which obviously mean a lot more than necessarily the money it would take to sell Victor to West Ham or Southampton or Crystal Palace or Everton or another host of Premier League sides. But it's interesting to see we're still looking in the Championship for players as well, allegedly. So, as I said, Swedish international. People have likened him to Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Bit of a stretch, but... so they've likened him to. Another one who we were looking at last summer was Arthur Melo. And obviously he went on loan to Liverpool. And since being on loan to Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp hasn't been impressed by him, to be honest. And according to Italian media outlet Gazzetta dello Sport, Liverpool won't be acquiring the 26-year-old midfield from Juventus on a long-term contract at the end of this current season. As a result, West Ham's manager could have another chance in terms of David Moyes, in terms of purchasing him. According to ESPN, the Reds paid £4 million, about €4.5 million for Arthur's loan deal, and have the obligation to make that permanent and buy him for £32 million at the end of the summer. However, it's pretty obvious, to be honest, that they don't really rate him, and is probably not going to part with £36 million to get him in the door. It seems pretty improbable, according to the report in Gazzetta dello Sport. And the likelihood that he will stay beyond this summer in Anfield is very, 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 very slim. He's a fantastic player. There's no doubt about it. And Juventus, he was a master of his own craft, really. A fantastic football passer. But they've sort of got people like Thiago already in there, so it's a similar type of player maybe with Arthur. So it doesn't surprise me that obviously, or maybe even maybe he's not a very good trainer. So he's not even pressing Klopp at training. So again, probably a few red flags. One would probably, hopefully, dodge the bullet, I think, and not go for Arthur. But just reporting what's been reported. That's all. And let's talk about another Arthur bloody Masuaku. Now, according to not MTV, NTV Sport, the loan agreement with Arthur Masuaku between West Ham and Besiktas does include a mandatory permanent buy clause in there. We know that he was sort of no longer really surplus to requirements at West Ham before the season started, left to Turkey with the option to convert the loan to Besiktas into a full transfer for just shy of £2 million if they went with it. However, it's since come to light that the 29-year-old has to start 25 games during the entire season for that obligation to sort of be fulfilled, and then he'll sign it, and then it actually is part of that agreement. It's a 3-year deal he would sign. Although he started 12 games to date, so he hadn't done too bad, to be honest, considering the season was somewhat finished abruptly for the World Cup. But there's little chance he'll probably fulfill that minimum now. He's sidelined with this ankle injury. He hasn't seemed to impress the new Besiktas manager, Younes, and the team is apparently contemplating an early termination of the loan agreement at the halfway point between Besiktas and West Ham. So he's very much in limbo, isn't he? I think at the moment Arthur is. So, he's made 128 appearances for West Ham in his West Ham career, and he seems to be trapped between a hard and a rock place, so to speak. Neither club really want him. We don't know. We don't know how long he'll be out for his ankle injury. They did say a couple of months potentially. By the time he gets back, the World Cup would have been shaken down in terms of injuries. Maybe he might be used and utilised if he comes back from injury at Besiktas. But neither side want you, really. It's a bit of a quandary, isn't it? He's very much in limbo. I think Masuaku's deal doesn't expire until 2024, I want to say. So who knows? I feel sorry for Arthur, because he started off quite well at Besiktas, to be honest. He was starting every game, playing very well, and then he gets an ankle injury, and that seems to be his career really at West Ham. There was a time where he was sort of dispensable, that left wing back role in the first sort of stint of the second era of Moyes. So much so that I remember when he was on. He was in international duty with Congo. He came back early, and there was fears he was injured, and fans are really worried about him being injured, which was the right turnaround in form. Then he gets injured. He does actually get injured, and never regained that form really that he had at the beginning of that first stint. Poor old Arthur. It's funny actually. It runs almost direct comparable, but the complete opposite to when we interviewed Matthew Kilgallen. No, that's Matthew Kilgallen. Matthew Kilgallen on Wednesday night. He was saying his loan spell at West Ham, between obviously Leeds and West Ham. Pards wanted to then extend it to the whole season. It was a 3-month stint at the beginning. He'd had 3 managers in that stint. He'd had Roda, Brooking, and he'd had Pardew. Pardew then said, "I want to keep you for the rest of the season." Eddie Gray at Leeds wanted him back. So where Arthur has got a situation where no one wants him, Matthew had both parties wanting him. So he's sort of, this 19-year-old kid who barely had kicked a ball for Leeds, was playing at West Ham now, and Pards wanted him for the rest of the season. And actually, it's a really good interview. You should check it out. He's a really, really lovely bloke, and he really speaks really highly of his time at West Ham and how well he was treated at West Ham, and the players. As I said, 19-year-old kid, literally had to drive down from Leeds. There's no sat nav. He just about found his way to the Swallow Hotel, and turns up for training with the likes of England internationals like David James, and people like Michael Carrick and Thomas Repka. Jesus. And he just had such a whale of a time there. They put him up in Repton Park, so all the Ronnie O'Sullivan lived around there, and the EastEnders crew and people like that. Just totally out of one world and put into another world. It's really interesting, really interesting. And also he was part of the Sheffield United side, which we beat to the last. Sort of saving spot in the Premier League for the Great Escape. So we spoke about that a little bit as well. So check that out; it'll be very, very good. Also, go back and check our our game show we did last night for the Irons Point Food Banks Blockbusters. Check it out; it's good fun, really good fun. Yeah, some funny moments. So please check that out. Also, we will probably have a late show with Irish Tommy tonight, talking about the World Cup. Not really much West Ham stuff to talk about, to be honest. But in terms of World Cup reviews, and you can come and have your say in that type of thing with Irish Tommy. And we should also have a tweet all about it, I believe, with Holly as well this weekend. So keep an eye on that. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very, very much for your time. Enjoy the England game tonight. USA. And I've heard the chant. They chant, "It's called soccer. It's called soccer." Have a day off. Anyway, take care, everyone. Stay safe, stay warm. Have a great weekend. I'll see you Monday. Much love. Bye-bye.